Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Westerns and drama on this Wednesday edition of the podcast. We will start off with Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, Suspense, and then an episode of Murder by Experts, and then the Challenge of the Yukon. And along the way, since three of our shows are from Sunday, April 24th, 1960, we'll look at the news of that Sunday. That was 64 years ago. And this is a Wednesday, 24th day of April, 115th day of the year, 251 days remaining till we get to 2025. First regular newspaper in the U.S. published on this date in 1704, the Boston, Massachusetts New Letter. In 1800, the Library of Congress established when President Adams signed legislation to appropriate $5,000 to purchase such books as may be necessary for the use of Congress, the equivalent of $124,000 today. Hershey Park, founded by Milton S. Hershey for the exclusive use of his employees, opened on this date in 1907. The skyscraper Woolworth Building in New York City opened in 1913. In 1953, Winston Churchill knighted by Britain's Queen Elizabeth II. In 1961, Bob Dylan earned a $50 session fee for playing harmonica on Harry Belafonte's Midnight Special. It was his recording debut. In 1967, American General William Westmoreland said in a news conference the enemy had gained support in the U.S. that gives him hope that he can win politically that which he cannot win militarily. 1979, Georgia on My Mind, adopted as the official state song of the state of Georgia, a month after it was performed before a joint session of the Georgia General Assembly by Ray Charles. It was on this date in 1980, Operation Eagle Claw, a military operation to rescue the 53 American hostages from the U.S. Embassy in Tehran on April 24, 1980. The operation, a failure, had a severe impact on President Carter's re-election prospects.
Equipment failure in the rescue helicopters made it necessary to end the mission. As our team was withdrawing after my order to do so, two of our American aircraft collided on the ground following a refueling operation in a remote desert location in Iran.
Now, on a military level, Operation Eagle Claw led to the creation of the U.S. Special Operations Command and the U.S. Army's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, also known as the Night Stalkers. Hostages eventually released via diplomatic negotiation on January 20th, 1981, Carter's last day in office after 444 days of captivity. It was on this date also in 1980, Republican John Anderson withdrew from the Republican race for president and declared to run as an independent candidate. Anderson declaring he was not running as a spoiler.
If I thought for 1 minute that I were simply a divisive voice in this country, rather than offering an honest alternative to the American people, I would not be on this platform before you today.
Now, Anderson polled as high as 26% as an independent, but campaign gaps caused his fortunes to fall, getting just 7% of the popular vote on Election Day, and some of his positions on energy and the issues of interest rates, they were just so highly unpopular it wasn't even funny. In 1981, the first IBM PC introduced, and in 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope launched by the Space Shuttle Discovery. In 1996, the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act of 1996 introduced. In 2004, the U.S. lifted economic sanctions imposed on Libya 18 years previously as a reward for its cooperation in eliminating weapons of mass destruction. 2005, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger inaugurated as the 265th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, taking the name Pope Benedict XVI. It was a different time not that long ago when New York Mets broadcaster Keith Hernandez was calling a Mets-Padres home game in San Francisco after Padres catcher Mike Piazza hit a homer, and he got high-fived in the dugout.
There's a girl in the dugout with the long hair. What's going on here? You gotta be kidding me. Well, I won't say that women belong in the kitchen, but they don't belong in the dugout.
I don't think you should say that.
I love you guys, you gals out there. Always have.
Turned out the woman, the massage therapist for the Padres. San Diego manager Bruce Bochy expressed displeasure with Hernandez's comments. Hernandez apologized. Nothing was done, and he still went on to call Mets games for some time. But it does give you an idea how things have changed today. They would want to draw and quarter the man. Passing away on this date in history, the other half of the team, Bud Abbott, passing away on this date in 1974.
What have you got in that box under your arm?
Abbott, I bought myself some nice green shorts. I love green shorts. Abbott, in fact, I've got a pair on right now.
You dropped your package, Costello. Pick it up. Costello, you lied to me. You're not wearing green shorts. You're wearing purple.
Abbott, if you had to squeeze all the way around what my shorts have to squeeze all the way around, you'd be purple, too.
Bud Abbott, a wonderful straight man. Bud Abbott, passing away on this date back in 1974. Also passing away on this date, actress Louise Dressler, the wife of Edward Duke of Windsor, Wallace Simpson, Pat Paulson, a funny man, singer Al Hibbler, a cosmetics entrepreneur Estee Lauder, and the bass singer for the Statler Brothers, Harold Reed. Among those born on this date in history, the Cajun comedian Justin Wilson.
You know, I got a friend was got a little boy cheering, not quite seven. And that little boy cheering, up until the time he's not quite seven, don't say a word. He can yell, but he don't say something. And his mama and papa, they worry, man, you know. And bye. They take him to the doctor, and the doctor say that I can't find something wrong. And he hit himself in the head, say, you know, maybe like that. But he okay. And one morning at breakfast, just before he's 7-year-old, he looked at his mama and said, Mama, this doggone toast is burned like the devil, I guarantee. Well, she do a handsprung right now. And his papa, he lose his fork plumb. He can't say a word. And after a while, his mama says, son, all these years you ain't never say something before. How come you ain't say something till now, huh? He say, up to now, everything been okay.
Such a funny man, and a great chef, too. Humorous chef Cajun Justin Wilson. Born on this date in history, along with one of the finest professional wrestlers ever made, bar none, Lou Thez, born on this date.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
Shirley MacLaine turns 90 years old today. Didn't think she'd make it that long. Also, Barbara Streisand turns 82. From talk radio, Law and Order, and Criminal Intent, Eric Bedosian is 71. Cedric the Entertainer, 60 years old. She was on the OC, and she was Faith on Days of Our Lives. Melinda Clark, 55. From Lost and Once Upon a Time, Rebecca Mader is 47. Singer Kelly Clarkson, 42. Also he was in Marvel and the Hunger Games. Also from The Boys, the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, Jack Quaid, 32 years old. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 24th day of April as their birthday. And if this is your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to
And now, on this Wednesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we start up in Dodge City, Kansas, for an episode of Gunsmoke starring William Conrad, as we salute the day Sunday, April 24th, 1960, 64 years ago today, and we will hear about the stage Snatch next on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with anxiety, depression, PTSD, an eating disorder, or even a substance abuse problem? If it's causing problems at work or with your family, get help now. At Insight Mental Health and Wellness, we help and treat all types of depression and mental issues. We will help you use your insurance to get away from it all, to a beautiful, sunny, and tranquil vacation-like environment, so you can recharge yourself. And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you could take the time off you need from work. Plus, with the Affordable Care Act, your treatment could be 100% covered. If you're suffering from any kind of anxiety, depression, PTSD, eating disorder, or even a substance abuse problem, use your insurance and get away from it all. Come to sunny California. Call Insight Mental Health and Wellness now.
800-281-8944. 800-281-8944. 800-281-8944. That's 800-281-8944.
And on this Wednesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we start our salute to Sunday, April 24th, 1960, 64 years ago today, with an episode of Gunsmoke, Stage Snatch, starring William Conrad as Marshal Matt Dillon.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
Up here, my brother.
Hello, Bigfoot.
I have watched you come. You're welcome.
You've traveled a far piece from your lodges.
Sometimes trail is long. Come, we will have food. Sit.
I'm hungry. That's a fact.
Here, antelope. Eat.
I was afraid for a while there. My ribs was going to stick together.
You come with news?
Yeah, Bigfoot. I told you I'd bring you news. You can head back to your lodges.
The man with the scar is dead?
No, he ain't dead, but he's been picked up.
Picked up?
Mm-hmm. Marshal's got him. He's in the pokey, in jail.
But he is not dead.
Well, not yet he ain't. He may be soon enough. The Marshal's riding him out to Hayes City tomorrow to be tried for murder.
No, his life belonged to me.
Well, what do you care, Bigfoot, just so they got him?
This man Rowse killed my father. His life belonged to me.
You're not thinking straight, Bigfoot. Forget all this and go home. Leave Rowse to the law.
Ron, my brother.
Yeah?
Your trail goes past the lodges of my people.
I should be riding past there tonight.
I ask you to see my son, Young Hawk, and send him here to me.
Sure, I can do that, Bigfoot, but I'm telling you again, I wouldn't get myself mixed up in nothing if I was you.
The murder of my father must be answered.
Yeah, but the law has arrested this fellow Rowse. They'll take care of him.
His life does not belong to white man. It belongs to me. Now eat. You will need food to travel.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah?
Did it ever strike you how much time folks waste just writing things down?
Well, I can't say I've done much worrying about it, no.
Well, you see every day how much of it's going on.
Oh? How's that?
Well, when I go to pick up the mail, there's always a whole pile of letters there, ain't there?
Well, that's what the mail's for, Chester, to bring letters.
Yes, Mr. Dillon, I know that, but every one of them letters has something wrote down in it, don't it?
Yeah?
Yeah, now, I don't mean circulars and important things like that. I mean all them letters that don't say nothing more than just howdy and how you been, etc. Why, if they was to take all the letters that was wrote in this country on a single day, they wouldn't be worth a whole boot.
You may be right, Chester. But I know one thing.
What's that?
You'd be pretty hard to live with if you didn't get one of those worthless letters every now and then.
Well, now...
Hey, come on, let's get a beer and cool off, huh?
Well, it sure is dark coming in out of that bright sun, ain't it?
I can see well enough to make it out that Doc beat us to it.
Yeah, well, hello, Doc. Oh, Miss Kitty. Chester, Matt.
Come on, sit down.
Thanks, Kitty.
Thank you kindly.
Well, I'm surprised to see you here at this time of day, Doc.
Oh, I don't think you're in any position to call attention to a man's taking time off for a little refreshment.
Well, I wouldn't even notice any man but you.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're always so ready to give a piece of your mind whenever anybody else takes a little time off.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Doc tells me you're taking a trip tomorrow, man.
Yeah, I'm delivering a prisoner to Hayes City.
Mr. Dillon, I just don't feel easy about you taking that cussed Rowse up there all alone.
What's the matter, Chester? Don't you think Matt can take care of himself?
Why, of course he can take care of himself, Miss Kitty, but this fellow is awful mean. It just might work out to be easier if I was to go along on the stage with you.
Why don't you take him with you, Matt?
Chester has to stay in Dodge, Kitty. We got another man in jail.
It wouldn't hurt him none if we just left him locked up overnight, Mr. Dillon. The way he was feeling this morning, he probably wouldn't even know the difference.
Chester, you're staying here.
Yes, sir.
Well, Matt, if this man's dangerous, maybe you'd better take Chester.
Yes, Matt, by all means.
That's what I think, Mr. Dillon.
I'll get him there alone. I'm going to go get that beer.
Sure nice of you, Marshal, arranging a private stage, so to speak. Hey, Marshal, you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. It's my guess nobody wanted to ride that close to you.
I don't know. I ain't such a bad sort of a feller. Hey, Marshal, you know, I could be real comfortable this trip if you just undo these here wrist irons. Marshal, you got the gun. Ain't nobody else here to object.
I'd object.
Well, that don't make no sense, Marshal. Listen, you're feared of me. Hey, is that it, Marshal? You feared to ride with me with my hands free? Huh? Even without a gun?
You talk too much, Rowse.
Yeah, you're afeard of
Why
me.
don't you shut up?
Jim!
Indians, man! Up ahead!
How many?
Just two, looks like.
All right, then.
Why are we stopping?
Maybe we can talk to him. We sure can't outrun him.
Hey, Marshal, shoot. Shoot, Marshal.
Why don't you shut up and sit still?
You are wise, Marshal. Now I take your gun.
Bigfoot.
The gun. Throw it out. Good.
I didn't know you were a hold-up man, Bigfoot.
Not hold-up man.
You've gone to a lot of trouble for nothing. There's no gold on this stage.
I don't look for gold. I look for prisoner.
Rowse?
I want prisoner.
Marshal, don't you let him get me.
Shut up, Rowse.
Marshal.
Bigfoot, you and I have been friends. You've been able to take my word.
Yeah. Marshal has always acted with honor.
Well, then let me tell you something. I'm taking this man to Hayes City to be tried for murder. The evidence against him is great. He'll probably hang.
His life belongs to me.
He may not have a life at all after the trial. You take him, you won't either.
He killed my father.
Let the law punish him, then. Don't start trouble with the tribes.
I do not start trouble. He started trouble.
Well, let me finish it for you, then. Let me take him on to Hayes City. I promise you justice, Bigfoot.
He will have justice. My son. Get off your horse. Now, Marshal, you and your prisoner will get out of the stage. And you, driver, you will sit quiet and not be foolish. Come, now get out.
I suppose you've got a plan for me.
The marshal must come with me for a while.
You're making a mistake, Bigfoot.
I would make mistake to let Marshal go free. All right, my son. Tie the hands of Marshal. I will watch prisoner. And you, driver, you free to go. Do not return to Dodge.
Marshal. Hey, you awake?
Yeah, I'm awake.
I can't see any engines.
Well, don't worry about it. They can see you.
I'm just thinking. We might make a break for it in the dark.
You wouldn't get 10 feet.
I gamble a bullet would miss.
They wouldn't waste a bullet on you, Rowse. They just drag you back. The gamble isn't good enough.
Ain't you gonna do nothing?
I have to be alive to do it.
What does that mean?
It means I'm going to wait for a better chance than making an open target of myself. With my hands tied.
You should have left my hands free.
If your hands had been free and you'd tried to do anything, you'd be dead right now.
You know what they're gonna do?
Bigfoot wants to give you a fair trial, Rowse. They're going to walk us to the encampment. There's a meeting of the council of the tribe.
Yeah. Dirty Indians.
At least they're giving you a chance. That's more than you did for Bigfoot's father when you shot him.
Oh, he was just a no-good dirty Indian. Marshal, listen, I want to tell you...
You make me sick. Why don't you shut up? I want to get some sleep.
Marshal, I tell you true, I ain't gonna last much longer.
Quit crying, Rowse.
We must have come 20 miles since sunup. walking while them engines ride.
I know how far we've come. I walked it with you.
Well, you ain't roped to no horse like me. And you got your hands free. Daytimes, anyway. Ain't fair.
They're not worried about what you think, Rowse.
You sound like you're on their side.
Well, it's not an easy choice.
You wouldn't raise a finger to save me, would you?
Listen to me, Rowse. I may not like it, but it's my job to get you to Hayes City alive.
You don't act like you're trying very hard. I tell you, Marshal, this ain't hardly human, being drug along prairie like this. It's just more than a man can stand.
You're still on your feet, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but
You better try and keep it that way.
What does that mean?
They could keep right on dragging you when you quit walking.
I'll keep walking.
You better start saving your breath, too.
Marshal?
Yeah.
Marshal, ain't they never going to stop?
I don't know.
We ain't even stopped for water since mid-morning.
Yeah.
Ain't you thirsty? Well, ain't you?
Why don't you shut up?
Marshal, we... Oh. Hey, Marshal, listen to me. You gotta let... I ain't gonna make it much longer. Marshal, I got a rock in my boot. It's going right through my foot.
That's too bad.
I mean it, Marshal. I just ain't gonna be able to walk no further.
You want me to carry you?
Talk to him. Make him stop. Just while I take it out.
They're not likely to stop for you to feel easier.
Might if you ask him, ain't got nothing against you. They're just seeing you don't free me is all. Oh, please, Marshal, ask him to stop just for a minute. Will...
All right, Rowse. But you keep quiet, you hear? You let me do the talking.
Sure, Marshal, I will.
Bigfoot? Bigfoot, I want to talk to you.
Come.
Rowse, your prisoner, has a stone in his boot. He wants you to undo his hand so he can take it out. So he can go on walking.
He will walk.
You'll make better time to your counsel if you don't have to drag him.
In a mile, we reach a stream. Water horses. Fix foot then.
Well, now.
At the stream, we go.
Get your head up before you fall down. We're heading for the stream.
You ain't gonna stop?
That's what he said.
Well,
Marshal, you and prisoner sit.
Oh, I thought I'd never sit down again.
You better be sure you can get up.
Yeah. You get him to untie my hands so that I get my boot off, will you?
You gonna untie his hands, Bigfoot? He wants to take his boot off.
Young Hawk, untie rope from horse.
Yeah. Now just take a handcuffs.
No handcuffs.
I can't do nothing this way.
Marshal?
Yeah?
This is the way it will be done. I will water horses. You will take boot off. My son will stay with you. He will watch.
I'd take my own boot off.
The marshal will do it.
You better settle for that, Rowse, if you want that rock out.
You stay, son, and watch.
Oh, I watch.
All right, Rowse. Which foot is it?
It's this one, the right one.
All right. Now, brace yourself.
Yeah. Easy there.
Well, do you want your boot off or not?
Yeah, but look, pull it slow. Pull it real slow.
I've known old women in my time.
Yeah. That's right, slow. Yeah, hey, young hawk, you just look here. Lean over here. Now, you see? See?
Look out.
Gotcha, you dirty.
You knifed him.
I sure did, Marshal. I got it right in his belly.
Young hawk. Here, let me see.
I worked that out real good, didn't I?
Young hawk. Why, you dirty pig, you killed him.
Well, I wasn't aiming to just tickle him. Now grab his gun before his old man gets back.
I'd worry about that if I were you.
Go on, grab his gun.
All right, I got it.
That's the way. See, now you and me's got the deal. All you got to do is shoot that engine when he comes back, then we all set.
I'm not going to shoot him.
You ain't gonna what?
He hasn't killed anybody. You have.
Dillon, you crazy? I'm a white man.
You're nothing to be proud of.
Hey, here it comes. All right, you shoot him, Marshal. Go on, shoot him.
Bigfoot.
My son. Hurt?
He's dead.
Shoot, heaven's name. Marshal, shoot him.
Marshal, you did not do this thing.
No, Bigfoot, I'm sorry I couldn't stop it.
Dillon.
He pulled a knife from his
Will
boot.
you shoot him?
This white man, he crawled on a snake's belly.
We'll punish him, Bigfoot, I guarantee that.
I punish him now. The white snake is dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
Bigfoot has done what he had to do. It is finished.
Not quite, Bigfoot. I'm going to have to take you in.
It does not matter. My father lies dead. My son lies dead. The white man who killed them lies dead. It is finished. Here, my gun.
Hey, Doc. Don't you suppose it's getting nearly time to eat?
Eat again? Just finished breakfast about an hour ago.
Doc, Chester.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, Kitty. Oh, hello there, Miss Kitty. Aren't you out kind of early?
I'm bringing a message to Matt. A friend of his was in the Long Branch last night and wanted me to say hello for him when Matt got back.
He didn't get back.
Well, I thought he was due in on the stage this morning.
That's what I thought, too, Miss Kitty, and it's left me in an awful pickle.
Well, what's the trouble, Chester?
Well, that prisoner in there, the one he left with me in the jail.
Well, what's the matter with him?
Nothing's the matter with him, except he thinks he should get out, and I'd like to let him out, too. I'm tired of feeding him.
Well, you got the key, haven't you?
Yeah, well, Doc, of course I got the key, but I ain't sure it's fitting to me to let anybody out without authority.
Well, looks like you can ask Matt.
Yes, sir.
Well, look at that. Well, I guess Mr. Dillon decided to ride back.
Well, with an Indian? And on an Indian pony?
Yeah, that is kind of strange now, ain't it?
Hello, Matt.
Mr. Dillon?
Hello, Kitty. Doc.
Yeah, Matt.
Chester.
Yes, sir?
Put this man in the cell, will you?
Lock him up?
That's what I said.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bigfoot. Go with Chester.
Well, Matt, I guess we needn't have worried about you. You start off with one prisoner and you come back with another.
Just like it were no trouble at all.
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, I'll see you both later.
Sure, Matt.
Why, is there something wrong, Matt?
What could be wrong, Doc? Like you said, Kitty, it's no trouble at all.
By Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. The story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Marion Clark, with editorial supervision by John Meston. Featured in the cast were Ralph Moody, Lawrence Dobkin, and Vic Perrin. Arlie Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. And now here's a special word from our star.
This is William Conrad. I don't often step out of Matt Dillon's shoes on the air, and I'm going to do it today for an important reason called Radio Free Europe. Did you know that 93% of the refugees escaping Iron Curtain countries prove to be Radio Free Europe listeners? At risk of life itself, captive people do listen, hunger for the truth about the free world. Your truth dollars, your help, whatever the amount, will keep the truth going through the Iron Curtain. Send it now to the Crusade for Freedom, care of your post office.
64 years ago, Sunday, April 24th, 1960, Gunsmoke here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A quick look at the news headlines from that day 64 years ago follows these important messages.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-932-1431. 800-932-1431. That's 800-932-1431. Paid for by the Tax Helpline.
And on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, our salute to the events of Sunday, April 24th, 1960, 64 years ago today. It continues now with a look at the headlines of that date. Prime Minister Fidel Castro's latest television pronouncements appeared Saturday to have wiped away any remaining hopes that critical Cuban-American differences can be settled. Instead, Castro made the United States, its president, and its Secretary of State targets of new scorn that set the pattern for a fresh wave of criticism and demonstration. Castro accused President Eisenhower and Secretary of State Christian Herter of a premeditated plan to support an internal front against the Cuban government. He reiterated accusations already denied that the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo in eastern Cuba is actively supporting insurgent bands operating in the nearby Orient Province mountains where Castro's own revolt developed. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee accused the Defense Department of trying to hush up scandalous black market currency activities by U.S. military personnel in Turkey. The committee blistered the department's handling of the episode in its 65-page report on the Foreign Aid Authorization Bill. It said, quoting, American military authorities failed to take proper steps to prevent the black market currency ring from developing. Vice President Nixon indicated Saturday he believes the candidates and their backers themselves have made religion an issue in the Democrat presidential campaign, quoting, religion will be an issue exactly to the extent that the candidates and those who support them continue to make it an issue. Nixon, talking to the American Society of Newspaper Editors, much has been made in the contest for the Democrat presidential nomination, especially in the current West Virginia campaigning, over the Roman Catholic affiliation of Senator John Kennedy of Massachusetts. The semi-official newspaper Revolutionary Saturday gave Cuban front-page treatment to Premier Fidel Castro's charges of a U.S.-sponsored fifth column in Cuba, alongside another dispatch regarding the arrival of Red China's delegation for the May Day parade. Japan accused Russia Saturday of employing malicious propaganda in its protests against the new U.S.-Japanese Security Pact. The charge came in an unusually tough reply to a Soviet memorandum delivered to the Japanese ambassador in Moscow by Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko. The statement also accused Moscow of trying to force Japan to adopt a policy of neutrality. A young reformist group within President Syngman Rhee's own Liberal Party Sunday said it has enough votes to ram through the National Assembly of Korea a constitution amendment limiting Rhee's power and establishing a parliamentary form of government. A supersonic B-58 Hustler jet bomber missing on a cross-country flight crashed into the Great Salt Lake, one of its crew members said Saturday. 29-year-old Kenneth G. Timpson, a Fort Worth, Texas flight engineer, parachuted to safety and said he saw the $10 million bomber hit the water. Fate of the other men aboard the craft was not known. French President Charles de Gaulle warned the Soviet Union Saturday against sudden brutal threats against Berlin would wreck prospects that the summit conference can improve East-West relations. Well, like a TV repairman diagnosing your trouble over the telephone, a space expert has fixed a gadget in the Pioneer 5 probe 5.5 million miles out. He didn't exactly fix it, but he figured out a way to get along just as well at this end without it. The story told Saturday by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which said trouble cropped up early last week in Pioneer 5's Telebit unit, a highly miniaturized 10-pound unit containing 450 transistors, 1,500 diodes, 1,600 resistors, 100 capacitors, and several thousand soldered connections. Its function to collect information from the probe's instruments before it's sent to Earth. Well, something went haywire, some of the figures coming back from Pioneer 5 obviously wrong. Robert Godfrey of Space Technology Laboratories, which assembled the probe's inner workings, went to work with the problem. He finally traced the trouble to a faulty diode, a semiconductor of electricity no bigger than a pinhead. Using a spare unit in his Los Angeles laboratory, Godfrey worked out a new translation code which, in effect, bypassed the faulty diode. And those some of the day's news stories from Sunday, April 24th, 1960. On your radio, next, Have a Gun Will Travel, starring John Dehner. And that is up next here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we will wrap up this salute. No, we won't, because we have another episode right after this. Have Gun Will Travel right now from Sunday, April 24th, 1960, 64 years ago today. Have Gun Will Travel, starring John Dehner as Paladin, and the episode entitled Irish Luck.
You have me confused, O'Bannon, but don't bother to explain now. Ride out of here before that mob decides to hang you.
Have Gun Will Travel. Starring Mr. John Dehner as Paladin. San Francisco, 1875. The Carlton Hotel, headquarters of the man called Paladin.
Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Paladin.
Good morning, Miss Wong.
You want Missy Wong help you pack?
Oh, thanks. I don't think so. I'm traveling light this trip. I'll be riding through some pretty rough country.
Oh, where you go?
I'm doing a job for an insurance company, Miss Wong. They're concerned about their losses, want me to survey the freight routes up through the north and check with the express offices along the way. There, that does it. Hey, boy told me that you and he were going out in the town last night.
Oh, yes. Hey, boy, take Missy Wong to see very fine stage play.
What did you see?
Oh, my. There was a little girl named Topsy.
Oh, Topsy, yes.
Topsy, yes. And a little girl named Eva.
Yes.
And a nice old man named Mr. Uncle Tom.
Mr. Uncle Tom.
Mr. Uncle Tom, Mr. You know what, Mr. Paladin? Poor Mr. Uncle Tom, he...
I understand, Miss Wong.
A little girl named Eva, she... Oh, Mr. Paladin, we have such a good time.
On the road between the town of Lexington, Massachusetts, and the Concord River Bridge are a number of stones and monuments that are a part of our American heritage. In the spring of 1775, the Minutemen of New England brought together a supply of stores and munitions in the small village of Concord. The Provincial Congress had voted for the stockpile for defense only, but British General Gage regarded the collected munitions and stores as potentially dangerous to King George's troops. On April 19, 1775, Gage dispatched a force under Major Pitcairn to capture the stockpile. The route of the British troops took them through the town of Lexington, which had been alerted by Paul Revere and others. At Lexington, the British were met by a small American force, and a skirmish ensued on Village Green. The American Revolution had begun. Their superior numbers allowed the British to continue their advance toward Concord, but William Prescott, who had ridden with Paul Revere, carried a warning of their approach. Pitcairn's British regulars moved into Concord and occupied north and south bridges, while a small group of Minutemen waited across the river for reinforcements. When help for the colonials arrived from nearby towns, the British were forced to withdraw across North Bridge. Here shots were exchanged, and the British were forced into a retreat. The retreat soon became a disorderly rout as Minutemen fired on Pitcairn's men from behind walls, houses, and barns. The Colonials had won the day. Today, the brave actions of the American fighting men at Lexington and Concord are marked by many monuments, including the famous statue of the Minuteman. Some of the original landmarks are still preserved. The monuments at Lexington and Concord remind us of the rich heritage that as Americans we share and stand ready to defend.
The towns along my route were scattered, and the distances were great. I had reached northern Nevada, and I was following a trail that wound its way over a rugged mountain pass. The trail had been chipped from a rocky cliff, which rose straight up on one side, and then took a sheer drop of several hundred feet on the other. When I reached the top and started down toward the Humboldt River Valley, I saw a man ahead of me. He was riding lazy, guiding his horse carefully, when suddenly, on a sharp turn, the animal seemed to spook, fold up, and in the next instant was jogging down the path with an empty saddle. Well, I couldn't travel any faster. I could only hope that when I reached the spot where the man had gone over the edge, I'd find him alive. Hey, down there. Can you hear me?
Yes, man, and it's a fine sound to be sure.
Are you all right?
Oh, I'm fine. Until this bit of a tree stump I'm hanging to gives way.
You got any kind of foothold down there?
Some.
I've got a rope up here. Hold on, I'll get it to you.
Oh, that's fine, sir.
Oh, now. Easy, boy. Now stand. All right. Here she goes. You got it?
I got it.
I tied it around your waist.
Yes, sir.
Let me know when you're ready. I'll start hauling.
Yes, I'm trying.
Good.
Ah, there. Huh. Ready now.
All right. Here we go.
Now hold it, man.
What? What's the trouble?
Why, would you give us a bit of slack on that rope, will you now? It's the present for Katie.
What's that?
Katie's present. It fell out of my pocket. I can reach it if you give me a bit of slack.
How's that?
Oh, that's fine, sir. All right, haul away, my hearty.
Right.
Oh, it's grateful. Grateful I am to you, sir. O'Bannon's me name, sir. Red, they call me, and I needn't be telling you why. And, when I catch me breath, I have a few words to say about that no good, cussed, not-headed horse that twice in a month has set me down without even so much as a by your leave.
Well, never mind the horse. We better check you for broken bones.
Oh, no, sir, no. Bannon's a tough one, though I am hurting a bit in a few places, but praise be, Katie's present is safe.
Katie's present?
Would you be after knowing what day this is, sir?
Well, yes, it's Thursday.
That's right, in March the 17th, and that, of course, is St. Patrick's Day, but more than that, it's the birthday of me darling Katie.
Your wife?
Yes, sir. Like a man, I'm afraid I was after forgetting the occasion, until Katie, like a woman, dropped a hint here and there, so I had to saddle up and ride into town to buy her a gewgaw.
Well, we better get started down the trail. You go ride my horse and I'll walk.
Oh, now, a fine thing that'd be. To thank a man for saving me life by taking the horse out from under him. No, sir, O'Bannon will walk. A good walk will take kinks out of me.
It was almost sundown before we reached the O'Bannon farmhouse. Katie was waiting at the gate. She was tiny and gay and very pretty. And she insisted that I stay to share the birthday celebration. Then it got so late, they both insisted that I stay the night. They were warm, friendly people. And when I left the next morning, it was with the promise to see them on my way back. My business took me on into Idaho, and it was nearly 2 months before I passed through Nevada again. The last stop on my route was the town of Toana, only 20 miles from the O'Bannon place. I checked into a hotel, then started for the Horseshoe Saloon.
You ain't gonna get a drink in there, mister.
Oh, why not?
We're holding a trial in there today.
Trial?
Gonna start as soon as the judge gets here. Once it starts, it won't last long.
Open and shut case.
I just kept watching. I knew I'd see the fella again someday.
Who's that?
Fella on trial. Robbed my stage, killed my shotgun rider. I got a good look at him. I knew I'd spot him again, and I did. Over in Lander County. Sheriff brought him in. You gonna visit the trial?
No, I have business at the freight office. Just thought I'd have a drink first.
We'll fix him. Dirty killer. A fellow named of O'Bannon.
O'Bannon?
Know him?
Well, I'm acquainted with an O'Bannon up this way, but I'm sure it isn't the same one.
Well, we're gonna fix him. Quick and good.
About 10 miles north of Springfield, Massachusetts, and 5 miles northeast of Chicopee is Westover Air Force Base, headquarters for the 8th Air Force. The field was named after Oscar Westover, who was chief of the Air Corps from 1935 until his death in 1938. Westover was born in Bay City, Michigan, July 1883. He entered the Army as a private in 1901 and graduated from West Point in 1906. During the infancy of flight, Westover became interested in the Air Service and worked in the office of Director of Air Service in 1918. In 1922, he became the Director of Aircraft Production for the Army. Then in 1928, Westover was offered a post as assistant to the Chief of the Air Corps. He held this assignment until 1935, when he was commissioned a Major General and moved up the ladder to Air Corps Chief. About this time, there was much discussion concerning the value of air power. Like other top Air Corps officers, General Westover pointed out the need for a stronger Air Force. Together with General Andrews, he advocated a policy whereby the Air Corps could have more fighting power and become a more independent unit. Unfortunately, in 1938, Westover was killed in a plane crash before his recommendations were placed in effect. Despite his untimely death, Westover holds an important place in the growth of American air power. Men like General Westover serve as a reminder that those who today wear the Air Force uniform also play a most important part in the progress of air power, the instrument which is so vital for the preservation of our American way of life.
I had started down the street to the Tawana freight office when I saw the sheriff bringing the prisoner from the jail. It was hard to believe. But the O'Bannon on trial was my red-haired friend of the mountain trail. He didn't glance in my direction, but I decided to postpone my business and visit the trial after all. What the court convened in the Horseshoe Saloon lacked in formality, it made up for in its obvious zeal to fix him quick and good. Circuit Judge Charlie Cagle called the court to order, and Wes Barker took the stand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Sit down.
Well, there he sits, Judge. Right there.
Now, please, Mr. Barker, not so fast. I want you to tell us just what happened.
Well, the coach wasn't running just on schedule that day. We didn't have no passengers, but we had some important freight to carry.
Valuable freight?
Gold. The shipment wasn't ready on our regular time to leave, so we waited for it.
And when was this?
Oh, 2 months ago.
You remember what day exactly?
Sure. It was March 17th. We just got a ways out of town, about sundown it was, when this man right here, he busts out in the road and flags us down and yells, "This is a holdup." He got a gun right in my face. Now, Joe Pinelli rode shotgun with me for 6 years. He knew when to throw down on a holdup man, when not to. Joe didn't throw down on this fella, but he plugged him anyway. Got a shot off at me, too, but he just nicked me.
He took the gold?
What he could carry. And I got a good look at him. And last month, when I seen him over in Lander County, I recognized him and told the sheriff. That's him sitting right there.
Yeah, I guess that'll be all, Mr. Barker.
Judge Cagle, Your Honor.
Yes. Say, don't I know you?
I think so. My name is Paladin.
Sure. What can I do for you, Mr. Paladin?
I'd like to be sworn in, Your Honor. A man's life is at stake here, and I just don't understand it. There's something terribly wrong.
Well, come on up here.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep it quiet now. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Sit down.
Judge, if this murder and holdup occurred on March 17th, about sundown, the man sitting here, O'Bannon, can't be guilty.
Quiet down. Let's keep order. Why do you say that?
Because I was with O'Bannon on March 17th, at that time. And he was over 40 miles from here.
That's all right. Let's have order, please. Well, now, you better tell us the whole story. Start from the beginning, Mr. Paladin. All right, case dismissed. That's all for today.
Mister?
Yeah.
I can't figure what your game is, but you sure didn't make yourself any friends here.
Look, I'm sorry, Barker. I told the truth.
Yeah. You might have put a reasonable doubt in the judge's mind, but I know better.
You said yourself it was almost sundown when the holdup occurred, and it must have all happened pretty fast. You could be mistaken, you know.
No mistake. I saw O'Bannon kill my shotgun rider. Joe had a lot of friends. If the law ain't gonna take care of the man that murdered him, maybe his friends will have to.
That's mighty careless talk, Barker.
Look at that. Sheriff's turning him loose. That dirty killer walking out of town a free man when he ought to be hanging on the end of a rope right now. And we can thank you for butting him with your big lying mouth.
I didn't lie.
I know better. Now, like I say, I don't know what your game is, but it ain't over yet. Here comes your friend. He ain't seen the last of this. You can tell him.
Hey, O'Bannon.
Oh, hello, friend.
O'Bannon, you better get out of here.
Well, thanks, and what do I owe you?
What do you mean?
Well, one good turn deserves another. What can I do for you? What do you want?
Well, I don't want anything. I had to tell the truth.
Truth? Mister, you never saw me before in your life, and you know it.
Listen, if it's some sort of a joke, I don't appreciate it, and I'm afraid this is no time for questions and answers. These people watching us, they're in an ugly mood.
They don't waste any love on me, do they?
They're dangerous. I've seen it happen too many times. You better get out of town as fast as you can.
Oh, but I intend to. I have my plans all made. And thanks again, friend, for your pretty lies.
You have me real confused, O'Bannon. But I'll expect some answers for this, and they better be good. I'll ride out to your place tomorrow.
My place?
All right, just get going, O'Bannon.
Oh, sure.
There it goes.
Oh, Paladin.
What?
You'll find me at North Fork.
I watched O'Bannon walk away, trying in my mind to make some kind of sense out of the whole thing. His last remark was easily heard by the people left in the courtroom, and with the mood that crowd was in, he might just as well have been sending out invitations to his own lynching. There was no question about it. If he really intended to show up in North Fork, he'd have a lot of angry men waiting for him. As soon as I had finished my business the next day, I headed out of town in the direction of the O'Bannon farmhouse. I wanted to see Katie. As I rode up to the house, I noticed a winded, lathered horse ground-tied in the front yard. Ooh.
No, Katie!
You black-hearted dinner.
Hey.
Stand back!
Don't!
Stand by, I say!
Hey, Katie! Katie!
Paladin.
What have you done? O'Bannon. O'Bannon. He's dead.
God have mercy on me.
Give me the gun.
It had to be done.
I don't understand this, Katie. Your own husband...
No, not my husband, not Red. It is Liam O'Bannon lies there.
Liam?
Born of the same mother within the same hour. And on the outside, as alike as two peas in a pod, my man and Liam. But inside, one is black and one is white.
No, wait a minute, Katie. You mean this man is your husband's twin brother?
Yes. But my O'Bannon is the daylight. And this one, the dark, possessed of the evil ones he was. I knew it then, when the two came courting and it was Red I chose to marry.
What was Liam doing here?
It was after forcing me to leave this place with him. With wicked words of how he'd sent my O'Bannon riding off to his death.
Off to it. Katie, where's Red?
Gone to answer the call of Liam, as he always has, should Liam so much as crook his little finger. One of Liam's rogues that travelled with him came early this morning with a message.
What was the message?
That Red should ride to North Fork.
North Fork?
And wait until Liam should meet him there. But Liam came here instead to take me off with him.
Katie, it just might be that Red is riding to his death. How long ago did he start?
Oh, some time now.
I'll have to go after him. Katie, will you get me a blanket?
Oh, yes.
I'm afraid Liam must ride with me. As the crow flies, North Fork wasn't far. But the trail over the mountain was narrow and winding, and travel was slow. With the head start Red had, it was a chancy thing whether I could reach there in time to save him from the trap he was riding into. It was late in the day when I saw the little town just ahead.
All right, mister, that's far enough.
Parker.
Drop your gun.
I've got something to tell you.
We had to listen to you once before. We're done listening now. Drop the gun. Mister, we ain't gonna take any interference this time. I told you it's up to us now to take care of the man who killed our friend Joe Pinelli. We're waiting for him.
You mean he hasn't shown up yet?
No, but we'll get him.
Well, you won't have to wait any longer. The man you want is riding my second horse, wrapped in that blanket.
What are you talking about?
See for yourself.
It's him, all right. What happened?
Doesn't matter. The death of your friend Joe Pinelli has been avenged, Barker. An eye for an eye. That's what you wanted, isn't it? So now I trust you'll give Liam O'Bannon a suitable burial. Then I started back down the mountain trail. Whatever had delayed Red O'Bannon's trip to North Fork had saved his life. But I became more and more concerned as to what had happened to him. I reached the end of the rocky ledge, and there, off to the right, in a grassy meadow, was a horse that looked somehow familiar. He was nibbling grass and wearing an empty saddle. I turned around and went back up the trail.
Hey, Red! Red O'Bannon! Hey! Hey, Red!
Like the voice of an angel!
Oh, Red?
Yes!
Red, you all right?
For the time being. Yeah, Paladin.
Yeah.
That no good, cussed, knot-headed horse, he did it again.
Yeah, well, you can be mighty grateful to that no-good, cussed, knot-headed horse.
What's that?
Never mind. I'll get the rope.
Have Gun Will Travel. Created by Herb Meadow and Sam Rolfe, is produced and directed in Hollywood by Frank Paris and stars John Dehner as Paladin, with Virginia Gregg as Miss Wong. Tonight's story was specially written for Have Gun Will Travel by Ann Dowd. Specially featured in the cast was Ben Wright, with Harry Bartell, Jack Moyles, and Gene Bates. This is Hugh Douglas inviting you to join us again next week when CBS Radio presents Have Gun Will Travel.
An Armed Forces Radio Network recording of Have Gun Will Travel from Sunday, April 24th, 1960. Classic Radio Theater will continue in a moment after I tell you that on our Thursday show, more crime with This Is Your FBI, Orson Welles and the Lives of Harry Lime, Murder at Midnight, Escape, and another episode of Superman. Up next, radio's outstanding theater of thrills wraps up our Wednesday run of shows from April 24th, 1960, with Suspense.
Civil defense is common sense. This is Boris Karloff. No one can guarantee the survival of every home during a nuclear war, but a strong civil defense can save millions of lives. Make sure that yours is one of them. Learn how to protect your home. Call Civil Defense today.
And make sure you bring your antipasto. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we wrap up our look at the show The Day, April 24th, 1960, a Sunday, 64 years ago, with an episode of Suspense entitled One More Shot.
Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Today's story, One More Shot, written for Suspense by William N. Robeson.
Hold it, please. One more shot. Thank you. Here you are, Bobby. Take this plate with the others and get them into the office pronto.
Sure thing, Dad.
That's my son, Bobby, learning the newspaper photography business from the ground up. He's my courier. He rushes the plates from the field into the office. Two things Bobby and I like more than anything else are cameras and motorcycles. That's why I asked to cover this cycle race. That was the winner I just photographed. Just in time for the early evening edition, if Bobby makes the office in time. He didn't. Bobby never got to the office at all. He went off the highway at Coleman's grave. He was dead when the police arrived. A victim of too much speed, they said. Just another traffic accident. But I didn't believe it. Bobby was too good a driver. He was too careful. So I did some investigating on my own. And then I went to see my friend, Sergeant Quad, in homicide.
I checked it out with traffic, Bernie. It was just another unfortunate accident.
It was not an accident, Quad. It was murder.
Look, Bernie, I can understand how upset you are. I know what it must mean to you.
Do you? Well, there's one thing you don't know.
What's that?
Where are the exposed photographic plates?
What plates?
The ones I gave Bobby to take to the office. They weren't in the saddlebag of his cycle when they found him, were they?
No.
Of course they weren't. That's why Bobby was run off the road. Somebody wanted those pictures. Bad enough to murder for them.
Who?
How do I know?
Well, it's fantastic.
Maybe it is, but the fact is he left that field with 4 photographic plates, and they were gone when his body was found.
Well, who were the pictures of?
I can't remember. Winners of races, officials. That's not important now. The first thing is we got to find Bob who ran Bobby off the road.
You're sure he was run off the road?
Are you sure he wasn't?
No.
Then will you go back and look over the scene of the accident with me?
Okay, Bernie. This much I'll do for you.
So we went back to the scene of the accident on Coleman's grade. At this point, the curve was too gradual for the most inept driver to go off the road. I walked up the hill, my eyes glued to the pavement, until I found what I was sure would be there. Hey, Quad, look at this. See
what?
here? Look, by the curve. Flakes of green paint.
Yeah, so?
Bobby's bike was painted black. So Quad collected the tiny flecks of green paint in an envelope, and he promised to have the police chemist analyze them. Then we went back to the police garage, where what was left of Bobby's wrecked motorcycle was piled in the corner. I thought so.
What, Bernie?
Look here on the handlebar.
Smudge of green paint. Could be the same.
Looks like it.
All right, we'll check it out. Hey, look here. Wedged in the frame. Kick pedal.
Motorcycle has only one, Quad. This one has 2. Extra pedals off an English BSA. Well, what do you think now?
Looks like you got something, Bernie.
I mean, it looks like my son was run off the road by an English BSA painted green.
Yeah, it does.
But who was driving that bike, and why did he do it?
I don't know, Bernie. But I'm sure going to try to find out.
Well, Quad was running down the paint shops to find one that might have repainted a green BSA, and the part sellers to find who sold a new BSA kick pedal. I had my work cut out for me. I rounded up all the pictures that were shot by all the press photographers of the motorcycle meet at Mills Field. At last, Quad found a man who had painted a green BSA blue and another one who had sold a BSA kick pedal. And we brought them into headquarters to look at the blow-ups of the pictures. They went over each one carefully, examining each face in the crowd with a magnifying glass. Finally...
Yeah, this is him, Sergeant.
Where?
Here. Yeah, this is the guy that had me paint his cycle.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Mr. Morris? This look like the man who bought a new kick pedal from you?
Yeah. That looks like him, all right.
Well, Bernie, this seems to be your man. Take a look.
Yeah, this is a long shot of the whole infield taken by Johnny Jones from the press box.
Mm-hmm.
See, here I am, side, just snapping a picture.
Yeah, I noticed that. Now, wait a minute. Standing next to the suspect these gentlemen have indicated. You recognize who that is?
Which one?
One in the Mickey Cohen hat, sports shirt buttoned at the neck, no tie.
Oh, yeah.
Did he look familiar to you?
Oh, I'll be... Rocco Malatesta.
That's what I thought. How come you're taking his picture?
I wasn't. They were all gathered around the winner of the race, the kid in front. I was taking his picture.
And Rocco was in the shot, and he didn't want to be, so he sent the punk standing next to him to see that your boy never got the plates to the paper.
But why? Why?
Because Rocco doesn't want anyone to know he's back in town, that's why. At least he don't want to advertise the fact in the paper.
Well, what's he doing at a motorcycle meet in broad daylight? That's the first time he's been in the sunlight since he graduated from grade school.
Motorcycle meet. Motorcycles. Of course, that's it.
What?
These motorcycle raids. We've been having an epidemic of them. One night, a cycle club wrecks a tavern on the south side. A few days later, another club demolishes a drive-in over in the east end. Half a dozen of them in the last month, all demanding protection money. All different clubs. Didn't make any sense until right now.
You mean with Rocco behind it, it would?
It might. But, like everything else about Rocco, how are you going to prove it?
Well, anyway, we're not looking for Rocco. We're looking for this creep standing beside him. The one who killed Bobby.
We'll find him, Bernie, if we have to shake down every cycle club in town.
No, this isn't the way to do it, Quad.
What do you mean?
You might scare him off. Let me do it.
You do it? How?
I used to be a pretty hot rider. Let me get a cycle and join a club. I'll find his murderer for you. I got more reason to than you have.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Hi, Whitey. Gonna throw a few fast Whitey Ford curves?
Not now. It's spring and my car's got a date at the service station.
Hello, Mr. Ford. In for that spring oil change?
Right. And it's time for a fresh Fram oil filter. Better check my engine air filter, too.
Will do, Mr. Ford. Say, you believe in taking good care of your car, eh, Whitey?
You bet. The car needs regular oil changes and a fresh Fram filter every 5,000 miles.
Well, why a new filter every 5,000 miles, Whitey?
Because stop-and-go driving can load your oil fast with sludge and do real engine damage.
Maybe I'd better get fresh filters for my car.
Positively, and I suggest Fram filters.
All set, Mr. Ford. Oh, I replaced your dirty engine air filter with a new Fram, too. The great Yankee pitcher Whitey Ford has the right pitch on filters. He's set for spring with a fresh Fram oil filter and a Fram air filter, too.
So me, Bernie, I go underground. I put on cycle boots, a black leather jacket, and a cap so close to a motor cop's cap as the law allows. And I hung around the motorcycle clubs and the rallies and joints, and everywhere I make friends. They always show him a picture of the murder suspect, enlarged from the tiny image on the original photo. For a long time, nobody recognizes it. Until one day, at a hill climb.
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, the picture's so fuzzy like.
Yeah, I know, it's not a very good shot, but at least you ought to be able to tell whether you know him or not.
Well, yeah, he looks a little familiar.
How familiar?
Well, he looks something like Big Red.
Big Red who?
Just Big Red. I mean, I never heard his last name.
You know where he lives?
He's South Sider, I think.
You know who he rides with?
Yeah, the Dolphins, I think. I don't know him very good.
Dolphins. Are they out here today?
Yeah, I think I saw one of them around.
Okay, thanks.
Listen, I'm sorry I couldn't help you out
Well,
no
that's
more.
okay. You did just fine. Well, Quad, there's no doubt about it. He's the suspect. Big Red's his name. Believe me, it was all I could do to keep from riding him down with my bike, the way he rode my boy down.
And what would that prove?
Oh, nothing, I suppose. But I want you to pick him up. I want to see him pay for what he did.
Just a minute, Bernie. What would that prove?
Justice, that's what.
There's more at stake here than one crazy punk.
What?
The whole mob. Rocco himself.
That's a police problem. I'm only interested in...
You said justice, huh? Don't you mean vengeance?
No, certainly not.
I wonder. Bernie, look at it this way, huh? This, what's his name, Big Red, was only a murder weapon, really, an instrument. Rocco gave the order. Rocco was really the man who killed your son. And unless we get Rocco, we've got nothing but a gunsel. Don't you see? Big Red can lead us to Rocco.
You can find Rocco if you want to. You got plenty of informers.
Of course we can find him. We can even pick him up for a few hours. But we can't hang anything on him. Now, with luck, we can use Big Red to implicate Rocco, don't you see?
Yeah, I guess I do.
So, look, I mean, you've done just fine. You've identified Big Red for us. Now, let us take it from there, huh, pal?
Okay, Quad. She's all yours. I told Sergeant Quad everything. Well, almost everything. I guess it was the desire for vengeance, like he said. Whatever it was, I wanted Big Red for myself. So I didn't tell Quad that I had heard Red call a meeting of the Dolphins for 9 o'clock that night. But that I knew where the Dolphins clubhouse was. The Dolphins clubhouse was dark when I got there, a little after 9. I let myself quietly into the place through a back window. Flashed my light around. It was in sort of a big closet. And suddenly my light showed up the answer to the motorcycle vandal raids that Quad had been worrying about. Here, carefully hanging on racks, were duplicate uniforms of half a dozen of the best-known and most respectable cycling clubs in town. My examination of the club's wardrobe was cut short by the arrival of Big Red and a half dozen of his bully boys. I pushed back toward the wall, hiding behind the farthest row of uniforms.
What are we going to hit tonight, Red?
Alibas wants the Northside Car Wash persuaded.
Is that the big one on Henderson Boulevard?
That's it.
Yeah, what uniform we wearing?
How about the Pelicans?
My heart stopped. I was hiding behind the rack which held the Pelican jackets.
Nah, we went as Pelicans last time. No use giving them guys too bad a name.
All right, then. How about the Dragons?
Okay. We haven't complimented the Dragons for a long time.
Didn't take them long to change into the helmets and jackets of the Dragons. 5 minutes after they arrived, they were roaring off again. There was a payphone in the corner, and I used it to call Sergeant Quad.
You promised me you'd let us handle it from here on in, Bertie.
Yeah, that's just what I'm doing, Quad.
All right. You say they're going to hit the Northside Car Wash on Henderson Boulevard.
That's right.
Okay, we'll be out there and stop them.
I'll meet you there.
Bernie, will you please stay out of this now and let us handle it?
Yeah, sure, Quad. I'm through playing cop. I'll be there just to get the pictures for the press.
Yeah, well, how are you going to get there?
I'm going as a dragon. I quickly found a jacket and helmet that fit me, and I caught up with the phony Dragons before they'd gotten a mile away. They were riding along the freeway in column formation. I slipped in between the last two riders. They looked at me curiously. I smiled at them. They shrugged. After all, I was wearing a dragon uniform. A Motorbikes roared into the north side car wash from all sides. The manager saw them coming, saw there was no escaping them. Big Red started for him, then realized he had a ringer in his ranks. He walked up to me.
Who are you?
There he stood, this insolent, brutal punk. My son's murderer, not a foot from me. So close I could reach out and grab him by the throat. I could kill him with my bare hands. The hate and fury welled up in me. And I remembered the other one, the big one we were after, Rocco. I got hold of myself. I tried to look innocent.
I said, who are you?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Rocco sent me.
What's that you say?
Said Rocco sent me.
I don't know no Rocco.
He said I should make a report on how good you do your job.
Yeah? Well, how do I know
what's the idea? Get them cycles off this property.
I'll talk to you after I finish the job.
Yeah, you do that. I'll still be here.
You, the boss here?
Yeah, I said get them cycles out of here.
I heard you.
Well, get them out of here. We don't wash cycles, only cars.
Like I know, Pop, and you got a good business here. Like, maybe you want to keep it that way?
What do you mean?
Insurance, like. You pay a little each week and nothing happens to upset your business.
The old protection racket.
I said insurance, Pop.
I won't pay you a cent.
Oh, I think you will. Don't you, Shorty?
Yeah.
Shorty hurled a wrench through the window of a sedan slowly moving down the wash rack. As the hot water and soap poured into the car, the rest of the mob went to work. Switchblade knives slashed through the tops of expensive convertibles. Windshields were smashed, tires slashed. The place was becoming a shambles when the scream of sirens put a stop to the vandals. As they headed for their cycles in a frantic attempt to get away, I caught up with Sergeant Quad, who was just drawing his gun. Hold it, Quad. That's Red.
All right, come on, then. Let's follow him. Maybe he'll lead us to Rocco.
I'm sure he will.
In just a moment, we will return for the concluding act of Suspense.
Talk about best-selling records. Here's a familiar tune about America's best-selling filter cigarette, Winston. Winston gives you real flavor, full, rich tobacco flavor. And you know, that's because only Winston has filter blend up front. Choice, flavorful tobaccos, specially selected and specially processed for filter smoking. No wonder Winston tastes good. Like a cigarette should. Smoke Winston. This is Red, boss.
I told you never to use this.
Unless I was in a jam. Well, I am.
What kind of a jam?
The fuzz.
What happened?
We rode down that car wash, like you told me to, but somebody tipped off the cops. They were there 3 minutes after we got there.
Any idea who did it?
Did you send anybody to check up on me?
Huh? Why'd I do that?
I had a ringer riding with me. He was the stoolie then.
What are you talking about?
I'll fill you in when you pick me up.
Me pick you up?
If you don't, the cops will.
Where are you?
I'm talking from a gas station at 61st and Humboldt. I'll be waiting at the corner for you.
You got your bike, ain't you? Get on it and get out of there.
Anybody on a cycle tonight that gets picked up for questioning. And you wouldn't want me to be questioned, would you?
I thought I could count on you.
You can. If you come down here and pick me up.
I oughta.
You ought to pick me up if you know what's good for you.
Look here, you...
Listen, boss, I don't mind doing anything you tell me to do. I don't mind doing your dirty work for you. There's only one thing I do mind, and that's taking your rap for you. This I will not do.
Stay there. I'll be right down.
That's being smart, boss.
Patrol car coasted into the curb in the shadows across the intersection from the darkened gas station. Sergeant Quad and I watched silently as Big Red slowly hung up. Foam came out of the booth. We watched as he wheeled his cycle behind the gas station. We watched as he came back a moment later without his cycle jacket or his helmet. It stashed him in the back along with his bike.
There's no doubt about it. He's waiting for a pickup.
Rocco?
Let's hope. Hand me that microphone, will you?
Here.
Thanks. Car 3. Car 3 to station.
Go ahead, Car 3.
Car 3 at corner of 61st and Humboldt. Send 2 more cars into this area on standby.
Roger, Car 3.
But under no circumstance are they to cruise past this intersection. Repeat. Under no circumstance are they to cruise past this intersection. Understand?
Affirmative, Car 3.
Thank you. Car 3 out.
We sat in the deep shadows of the spring night and waited and watched Red under the street lamp. He didn't look like a killer at all. At this distance, he might even be Bobby standing there or any other kid waiting for a bus. He kept looking up and down the street. And finally, he saw a car come, and he seemed to recognize. He stepped into the street. The car came toward him, but it didn't slow down. It picked up speed. And finally, it was on him. Before the kid could jump back onto the curb, the big sedan swerved toward him, sent him careening across the sidewalk. Then it jumped the ramp, cut across the gas station, and roared off down the boulevard. The driver kicked the siren open, and we dug out in pursuit. Quad grabbed the microphone.
This is Car 3. Sergeant Quad and Car 3. We are following suspect south on 61st at high rate of speed. Intercept. Intercept.
We weren't gaining on the suspect, but we weren't losing them either. Quad pulled out his service revolver.
Hold it steady, Mort.
You think you can hit him at this distance?
I can try to hit something.
You bet. You got his rear tire.
Yeah, and there's a prowl car blocking him at the next intersection. He's had it.
The suspect car zigzagged crazily from its blown-out tire, and the driver jammed on the brakes to avoid hitting the prowl car ahead. He went into a screeching skid and ended up wound around a light pole. The driver was pinned behind the steering wheel, bleeding but still conscious. It was Rocco Malatesta.
Jeez, you cops go to a lot of trouble to make a speeding case.
No, not this time, Rocco. This is one ticket you can't fix. This is murder.
What are you talking about?
Hit and run murder before witnesses.
Yeah, we'll see about that. How about getting me out of here?
But first, just hold that pose.
Hey, what is this? You coppers carry newspaper photographers with you on a prowl car?
Well, not usually, Rocco, but this photographer's special. You know, Rocco, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here.
What? Hold it. Just like that. For one more shot.
Suspense.
You've been listening to One More Shot, written for Suspense by William N. Robeson. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Out of tune because of irregularity? Kellogg's All Bran helps put you back in tune. Kellogg's All Bran is the natural way, the good food way to end constipation caused by lack of bulk in your diet. There's only one All Bran, Kellogg's All Bran. Its whole bran content gentles away constipation, supplies your system with the bulk-forming food you need. Kellogg's All Bran is the only whole bran cereal to bring you the combination of proved effectiveness, appetizing taste, and crispness. It never gets mushy in milk. So get back in tune and stay in tune. It's easy with the one and only Kellogg's All Bran, ALL-BRAN. Safe, reliable, pleasant. Millions enjoy it every day. They know they can count on Kellogg's All Bran to relieve irregularity.
Heard in tonight's story were Joseph Julian as Bernie, Nat Poland as Quad, Frank Thomas Jr. as Red, and Jim Bowles as Rocco. Others in the cast included William Redfield, Alan Manson, Jack Grimes, Sam Raskin, Bill Lipton, and Peter Fernandez. Listen again next week when we return with Bitter Grapes by Milton Geiger, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The latest news follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.
And that wraps up our look at Sunday, April 24th, 1960, with radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. And next on Classic Radio Theater, by the way, visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, and if you want to help the show or learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. Now we're going to go back 74 years to April 24th, 1950, for an episode of Murder by Experts.
Civil defense is common sense. This is Fred McMurray. Home shelters can be built for as little as $100. Simple plans for building inexpensive home shelters are available free from your Civil Defense office. Ask for a copy of the Family Fallout Shelter booklet.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Murder by Experts going back 74 years, April 24th, 1950, and this show is about a conspiracy.
Murder by Experts. The Mutual Broadcasting System presents Murder by Experts, with your host and narrator, the noted mystery writer, Brett Halliday. Mr. Halliday is creator of the world-famous detective character Michael Shayne, author of 25 mystery novels, and whose latest work, This Is It, Michael Shayne, has just been published.
Good evening. This is Brett Halliday. Each week at this time, Murder by Experts brings you a story of crime and mystery which has been chosen for your approval by one of the world's leading detective story writers. Tonight, our guest expert is the noted mystery novelist Ursula Curtis. From the thousands of thrillers she has read and heard, Miss Curtis has selected a fast-moving, intriguing story of a man seeking to use the elements to cover murder, as written by that master of suspense, Harold Swanton. And now we present Lawson Zerby in Conspiracy.
So I'm a murderer. So people look at my picture in the papers and point at it and shudder. I wonder how many of them are entitled to do that. I wonder how many of them are murderers, too, in their minds, with only the law between their hands and the throat of someone they hate. You take a city, see? A city full of people, the pious and the profane, the innocent and guilty, with their loves and hates, their pride and avarice and jealousy. And in that city, a pronouncement is made that on this date, between this hour and that one, there is no law, no retribution, that the crime of murder will go unpunished. How many of them would stand still? How many? Would you? Sounds like a philosophical problem, but it happened. The city was Greendale, Oregon, and the thing that set it free from the law for 24 hours was the Columbia River. Oregon Times, Kennicott speaking.
Joe, this is Flournoy.
Oh, yeah, Chief.
Just got a report from the sheriff. It's getting tough out on the 7th Street levee.
Yeah, I just heard the news over the radio.
If the river busts through, they'll start looking for Greendale somewhere off the coast of Japan.
But they got the army out there. I thought they'd take
They're losing ground, Joe. The levee might hold another hour, maybe more, but you'll go tonight, and I want you there when it happens.
You're liable to pick me up off the coast of Japan.
I'll send a boat after you, sweetheart, but phone that story in first. You know, color stuff. I was there. I saw it happen. Hot coffee, sweating soldiers. Man versus nature. Got it?
Yeah. Okay, Chief.
Great. Now get going. You've got 15 minutes to get there.
In 10 minutes, I was driving through Greendale. A low, flat, flimsy town with nothing between it and the Columbia River but a levee. Flournoy was right. If the levee gave way, Greendale would go down the drain like wet cornflakes. I hit 60 on Willamette Avenue, heading toward the 7th Street levee. That's when I passed Marilyn's apartment. And that's what started me thinking again about Marilyn. She was beautiful. She was a two-timer. She was the one human being on this earth I wanted to kill. I'd promised myself weeks before that I'd get her out of my mind, that hate was no good for anyone, but she kept coming back. That vicious, heartless laugh of hers, the brittle voice, the way her eyes could smile at you while she drove a French heel into your stomach.
Hey, you over there?
Yeah, Major.
What are you doing here?
Joe Kennicott, Oregon Times.
Reporter, huh? Okay.
How's it look?
You can see for yourself. Look at that river boil down there.
Yeah.
Levee's like a hunk of Swiss cheese. Hey, over there, pull the truck around. No, to the left, man.
It was a weird scene. Men, trucks, equipment fighting the river in the glare of those gas lamps. Heaving sandbags, pouring gravel, trying to save a town they all knew was doomed. My eyes took it all in. My pencil was making notes, but my mind was on Marilyn. Wondering if she was back in that apartment in Greendale, hoping she was asleep. That somehow she'd get washed out to sea with the rest of the rubbish. Then suddenly, everything stopped still. My pencil stopped writing. My eyes shut out the scene in front of me. It was so simple. I could kill Marilyn. The river would cover for me.
Hold it, fellas! How are they supposed to do it? There's no use punching any longer. We're licked. She'll break through any minute. Pull the equipment out. Evacuate. That's an order. And you, Kennicott.
Yeah, Major.
Take your car and beat it down to Greendale. Tell them they've got 5 minutes to get to high ground. Understand?
Yes. They say all murderers are crazy. Maybe they're right. All I know is that I hit 70 on the river road down to Greendale, hoping against hope that Marilyn would still be in that apartment, so I could kill her before the flood came. Ellen! Ellen!
Joe! Joe, what are you...
There's a flood on the way, baby.
Yeah, it came over the radio. I was just throwing a few things together to take with me.
You're wasting your time.
What do you mean, Joe? Hey, what are you going to do with that lamp?
You aren't going, baby.
Now, look, honey, don't be silly. I'm not going to lug that lamp out of here.
You aren't going anywhere. No, you're not.
Joe. Hey, wait a minute. You're crazy. Joe! Help! Help!
I looked down at her for a minute and set the lamp back on the table. I began to feel dizzy. The floor seemed to be swaying underneath my feet. I wasn't faint, just dizzy. The door was open. Then I watched it close, then open again. I wasn't dizzy at all. The building was swaying. The flood had come. I ran into the hall. Right smack into a guy. A little pasty-faced guy standing right outside the door.
Look, mister, let me out of here.
No, you don't.
You can't stop me.
Oh, wait a minute.
Let go of me here. Let go.
No use yelling for help.
Come on.
Hell, no one's good.
Let go of me.
Hey! I got him. I got it. I tackled him at the end of the stairs. We went down together to the bottom end over end. I knew he'd seen it. I knew I had to kill him, too. But I was dead right now. The main door was open. Water pouring in, foot deep in the lobby.
Please don't. Let me go.
Too late,
Let me
pal.
go. Let me go. The water. I can't do it. Let me go.
No.
Let me
bad, mister. Murder's a solo job, a solo job.
Now. Help! Someone! Help! Help!
I hit my head on the door. It was all the chance he needed. He scrambled outside into the flood. Took off down the street with me after him. The water was 2 feet deep now, and the buildings were beginning to move.
Help! Help!
I was gaining on him. 30 feet. 20. Then, telephone pole went down between us. I saw the broken wire graze him. There was a crackle of flame, and he went down. So I stopped worrying about him. Started thinking about me. The main force of the flood must have hit at that moment. Suddenly, everything was water. I was tossed down like a peanut shell in a typhoon. I remember reaching out for something solid, finding it, and then nothing.
Just relax now. You're all right.
All right. Where am I?
In the hospital.
What happened?
You're a lucky man. They picked you up right in the middle of it. Had quite a time making you let go of that telephone pole, too.
Oh, yeah, the telephone pole.
Nothing wrong with you but a few bad bruises and shock.
Nurse, give me a hand with this patient, will you?
Yes, Doctor. Just take it easy now. Everything's all right.
Yeah, everything's all right. I don't know how long I slept. 1 hour, maybe 6, but it was still dark when I suddenly found myself awake in a cold sweat listening.
Floor. That's where she was. On the floor. Dead. The flood? Not the flood officer. Murder. It was murder.
No.
He saw me. Fight. Terrible fight. Tried to kill me. Water all over. The flood. I couldn't breathe.
By now, I knew his voice. They must have picked us up together, put us in the same hospital room. 1,000 crazy thoughts hit me all at once. Kill him right there. Jump out the window, run. Anything but face it when he woke up. I started to get out of bed and then stopped. There was someone else in the room.
What do you make of it, nurse?
I don't know, Doctor.
Well, the man's had a terrible shock, of course. Amazing he wasn't killed.
Yes, I know. He's been going on like that for an hour. The same thing over and over. Murder. Something about the flood covering it up. Then a fight.
Well, maybe you're right. I think we'd better at least pass it on to the police. Still, might be the result of shock, of course. The fact that he repeats it over and over, detail for detail.
With death staring you in the face like that, you don't stop to think about consequences. The explanations could come later. I had to get out of that room right now. I fumbled in the dark for my clothes, threw them on, stepped out into the hall.
Paul Revere, where do you think you're going, little man?
Oh, Flournoy, I get tired of sitting around here. I thought you might need some help.
Oh, you thought I might need some help, eh? Nurse,
Yes, Mr. Flournoy.
your number 1 patient's about to blow the joint.
Oh, look, Chief,
Joe, leave it to me, will you? So, you're a hero. So you drive like mad to warn the town and get caught in the flood. You don't have to go overboard.
Mr. Flournoy's been pacing the hall like an expectant father.
Well, thanks, Chief.
I am not going to lose my best reporter because he's too dumb to know when he ought to stay in bed. Because that, sweetheart, is just where you're going.
Look, Chief...
Hey, don't butt in. You've been through hell tonight. You're lucky you're alive. Now, get in that room and get back to bed. The doctor's ordered a hypo to make you sleep. Nurse.
Yes, sir.
Just to make sure he doesn't get any more wild ideas, give me his clothes.
I was licked. And I knew it. They hustled me back to bed. And the nurse poked a needle in my arm. And I let go. I let the dark close in on me. Not caring now. I was tired. So tired.
morning, Mr. Kennicott. About time you woke up. It's almost 10 o'clock.
It's 10?
How about some breakfast?
Oh, no breakfast news.
Oh, looking for your roommate?
I-
He's still asleep. We put the screen around his bed to cut down the light a little.
I see.
Mr. Willis is waking up, too. I better have a look.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes?
No use disturbing Mr. Willis. Let me get dressed and get out of here first. Only take me a minute.
Nurse?
Oh, I'd better get rid of that screen. Yes, Mr. Willis. Well, how are you feeling this morning?
Better, thanks.
I saw her start
Get
for
the
the
screen
screen.
out of our way.
Turned away just in time. My stomach was tied
how
in
about
knots,
some
knowing it
breakfast?
could happen any minute now.
I don't know.
Any minute, Mr. Willis would point the finger at me and
really
say,
not hungry.
"There's the man."
Mr. Kennicott,
Yeah.
this is Mr. Willis.
Hello, Mr. Willis.
How do you do?
Mr. Willis had a little flood trouble, too.
Nurse, those bandages on his head.
Here, now, take it easy. Electric shock. He's blind.
I know now how that guy in Louisiana felt when they sat him in the electric chair and the switch didn't work. Willis, the guy who saw me standing over Marilyn's body just before the flood hit, was blind from that jolt of electricity he got when the pole fell. I took my time now, waiting for the strength to come back to my knees. I dressed carefully and left. Flournoy was waiting for me in the hospital lobby. There's someone with him.
This is Lieutenant Belshaw of Homicide. Joe Kennicott.
I heard about you, Joe. Nice work.
Thanks. Homicide?
Yeah. We got a murder on our hands. Or the lieutenant has a murder. We got a story. A great one.
What's that?
Conspiracy.
Huh?
Oh, now, wait a minute, Flournoy.
No, that's right. Conspiracy to commit murder. A partnership. We know who one of the partners is already.
Yeah? Who?
The Columbia River. The cover-up. Accessory after the fact.
I don't get it.
Flournoy is trying to say we picked up a woman's body this morning. Knocked around pretty badly. No identification yet. He thinks she was murdered. I don't.
You still think Willis is making it up?
The guy took 220 volts with the water up to his knees. His head's still spinning. He's not responsible for what he says.
Willis?
The little guy up in your room upstairs. Did you hear him say anything in his sleep last night, Joe?
No, I don't remember much, of course, but...
Sure.
I still don't get it.
Come on, I'll tell you about it on the way up. We're going to have a little talk with Mr. Willis right now.
Please, gentlemen, I can't remember now. I don't know what happened. It's all very confusing.
You've got to try, Willis.
Look, Chief, the guy's sick.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean, Lieutenant?
Willis, you've had a pretty rough ride during the past 18 hours. I know that. I want to make it as easy for you as I can.
Well, then please go away, will you?
Sure. After you level with us. 10 minutes ago, I was willing to write this thing off as a flood death. Now, I'm not so sure.
Listen, Lieutenant, I told you
You've got to understand one thing, Willis. If it's murder, one thing can lick us. Time. We've got to move now. So let's go over it again.
For Pete's sake, Flournoy, come here.
Describe the series of facts.
The guy's off his base. Can't you see that?
I don't think so.
Well, all you have to do is look.
Sure, he's shaken up, but there's something else. He's scared.
Murder. You had a fight with someone. Fell down the stairs, almost drowned.
I told you I was dreaming.
You don't dream the same thing over and over for an hour and 20 minutes without a reason. Now, we picked a woman's body out of the wreckage this morning. She could have been murdered. She could have lived in that apartment on Willamette Avenue.
Who was she?
We don't know. There's nothing to identify her. Now, Willis, I asked for a straight story when I got here. I haven't got it yet. If I don't get it, I might jump to the standard conclusion.
Well, what's that?
That you murdered her.
But that's not it at all. A man did it. I saw him.
That's more like it.
He tried to kill me, too. He'll try again if he gets the
Forget
chance.
that. Just give us the story.
Well, I ran into the building because I thought I heard someone call for help. A woman. The water must have come when I got to the second-floor hallway because the building started to sway, sort of, and the doors flew open. I saw him standing there. She was dead on the floor.
Yeah?
That's when he came after me, tried to kill me. We rolled down the stairs to the bottom, and he hit his head on the door.
And you broke loose?
Yes. I don't remember anything after that.
That's all, huh?
That's enough.
Mr. Willis, what did this man look like?
Oh, dark hair, about 6 feet, I guess. Medium build.
About your size, Joe.
Yeah.
Do you think you could identify him? I mean, that is, if you could...
If I could see him, yes, I could identify him. Now, please let me rest. I'm not
Sure.
feeling very well.
Thanks, Willis. That's what we came for. We'll get back to you when you feel better.
What about his eyes?
Well, the doctor says it's temporary, due to shock. He might get his sight back any time.
Any time, huh?
Yeah. Well, Joe, how was that for a story?
Oh, it's a great one, Chief. It's a great one. I wanted to scream it in his ear right then. Tell him the other half of it. That this was the craziest setup he'd run into if he'd lived 1,000 years. Yeah. How's that for a story, Flournoy? Right here in your office. The guy you're talking to.
Joe.
Good old Joe Kennicott, the boy wonder. It's also the murderer you're looking
for.
for.
Human drama, studying psychology. Here's a law-abiding guy. We don't know who he is. Maybe a bookkeeper, maybe a drug clerk, anyone. Used to the line, cuts his lawn on Sunday, turns his paycheck over to his wife, obeys traffic signals. You know. The flood comes.
Willis had
Big
me.
cover-up.
And I
no
knew
law.
it.
Nothing.
I ran out now. He'd add up in a
Turns
second.
into something else.
So I had to stop Willis, too, before he opened his eyes.
Hatred suddenly breaks
And
loose.
that wasn't exactly a cinch.
Turns into murder.
Material witness,
That's all
probably a
it took.
cop, watching him every
No fear of the
second.
consequences.
Waiting for those
Bingo.
bandages to come off so
He
they could hustle him
kills.
over to police headquarters. So he could put the finger on me. It was 11 that night. Just 23 hours after I killed Marilyn that Flournoy rushed into my office.
Joe, get your coat. Huh? We're meeting Belshaw at the hospital. Mr. Willis just came out of it. He can see.
To Flournoy, it was a wild ride through the rain to the hospital. To me, it was a procession. From condemned row to the gas chamber. And there was no way out. No way out.
Come on, Joe. Lieutenant.
Flournoy, Kennicott. You got here in a hurry.
Let's go up.
You better wait here. They're bringing him down. Gonna take him over to headquarters. Oh, there he comes now. Just got out of the elevator.
Lieutenant, wait a minute before you go.
What is it?
About this guy, Willis. Lieutenant, there's something I want to tell you.
Oh, Lieutenant.
Kelly?
The main levy's starting to go. Hold the parts is ordered there immediately.
The main levy?
Holy cow, she'll take the whole north end of town.
All right, Kelly.
Oh, let me go with him.
No, I'm at bat this time, kid. I'll go with the lieutenant. You take care of Mr. Willis.
Yeah. I'll take care of Mr. Willis. I turned the collar of my overcoat up. Kept my face away from him as I bundled him into the car, the back seat, of course. Hoping he wouldn't spot me until I got him away from there. Alone.
Just stay on North 2nd Street a ways, Mr.
Kennicott.
Yeah, Mr. Kennicott. I guess it's best you take me home, under the circumstances.
You, live in the North End?
Yes.
Good. Here's the kind of luck you can have only once. Yeah. A split second before the axe fell. Just as I was about to lay it in the lieutenant's lap, the river saved me. And it would save me again. He lived in the North End, right where the second flood would hit when the main levee went. He wouldn't get away this time because I'd made sure. And no matter what the question was, I had the answer. Willis lived in the North End. I was driving him home. We hit a deserted section, manufacturing district. It was dark. Blinding rain. Just right. Then...
Stop the car, Mr. Kennicott.
Huh?
I said stop the car.
What's the idea, Willis?
Shut up. Now get out.
Hey, look, wait a minute.
Did you hear what I said? This is a 38, Kennicott. I'll let you have it, so help me.
Hey, but look.
You made a bad mistake, Kennicott.
Mistake?
That woman they found this morning. They'll never identify her. I made certain of that. She's my dear departed wife.
Willis, you mean you...
You know I killed her, Kennicott. You saw it when the door flew open.
Wait a minute, Willis.
Thought it'd make a nice piece of blackmail, didn't you? That's why you didn't identify me. But you made a mistake. I'd never hold still for blackmail.
You knew I was in the other bed at the hospital.
Sure. I faked the blindness. Tried to get something over my face before you woke up. Okay, Kennicott.
Listen to me, Willis. I didn't see your wife. I didn't know you murdered her. I thought it was you who saw me when... Oh, give me that gun. Give it to me. Let go. Let me go, will you? That's it. Now, I got the gun. You will shoot me, will you? No, Kennicott. Don't shoot. Don't shoot, Kennicott. That takes care of you, Willis. We all learned something, Flournoy. A lot of us could kill. Something like the Columbia River washed the law away. It wasn't such a coincidence after all. Two guys, same town, same apartment house. Two women. They hated enough to kill.
I'm sorry for you, Joe.
Skip the sympathy, Chief. I know I'm gonna die.
And so the curtain falls on Conspiracy, which was chosen by guest expert Ursula Curtis. Miss Curtis is author of the newly published novel, The Second Sickle. And now, as host and narrator of Murder by Experts, it's my privilege to welcome and introduce to you Mr. Lawrence G. Blockman, Vice President of the Mystery Writers of America, an organization of nearly 300 of America's foremost writers of mystery and detective stories. Mr. Blockman.
Thank you, Brett. Each year, the members of the Mystery Writers of America are called upon to vote for what, in their opinion, is the best radio mystery program of the year. To the winning program goes a statuette of Edgar Allan Poe, known as an Edgar, which is to mystery writers what an Oscar is to Hollywood. 5 of the foremost radio mystery programs are voted upon by our members. The winner, by an overwhelming majority, was Murder by Experts. It gives me great pleasure, on behalf of the Mystery Writers of America, to present to Robert Arthur and David Cogan, the producer-directors, the Edgar Allan Poe Award for the Best Radio Mystery Program of 1949. Mr. Cogan?
Mr. Blockman, it makes me very happy to receive this tribute from the Mystery Writers of America. On behalf of Mr. Arthur and myself, I want to take this opportunity to thank those who made the winning of this award possible. The writers and actors who lent their talents to this program, our music director, Emerson Buckley, our arranger, Richard DuPage, engineer, Don Williamson, soundman, Walter Shaver, our announcer, Phil Tonkin, and a mutual broadcasting system. And, too, I want to thank our many listeners for their thousands of kind letters.
Tonight's play, Conspiracy, was written by Harold Swanton. In our cast were Lawson Zerby, Miriam Wolfe, Ronald Dawson, Frank Behrens, and Robert Donnelly. All characters in our story were fictitious, and any resemblance to the names of actual persons was purely coincidental. Phil Tonkin speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And there you have it, going back 74 years to April 24th, 1950, Murder by Experts. Up next, another Mutual program, The Challenge of the Yukon.
This is Groucho Marx. A few days ago, I was talking with the Director of Civil Defense, and he told me some things that I feel everyone should know. That's why I'm speaking to you now. Did you know, for example, that your chances of surviving an atom bomb attack are excellent? It's true, but there's a big if. You must do everything possible now to help yourself and your family. Nobody else will help you. Listen, because this is important. Keep a complete first aid kit handy. Keep a closed container of drinking water in your refrigerator, enough for 3 days. Be sure you have a good fire extinguisher. Take a look around your house right now and pick out the safest spot, away from windows and doors. Make sure that every member of your family understands he is to rush to that safe spot when there's danger. I'm convinced that these precautions are necessary right now, and I hope I can convince you. They're important to your family, yourself, and your community.
A reminder, learn about a lot of civil defense information at civildefensemuseum.com. Now, let's wrap up this program with an episode of The Challenge of the Yukon, going back 77 years to April 24th, 1945.
The Challenge of the Yukon. The Wonder Dog King, swiftest and strongest of Eskimo lead dogs, blazes the trail through storm and snow for Sergeant Preston as he meets the Challenge of the Yukon. Sergeant Preston was typical of the small band of Northwest Mounted Police who preserved law and order in the new Northwest country, where the greed for wealth and power led to frequent violence and bloodshed. But in spite of the odds against them, Sergeant Preston and his Wonder Dog King met that challenge, and justice ruled triumphant. Old Andy Saunders owned the richest claim in the Yukon, but years of hardship before he struck it rich had etched deep lines in his leathery face. Those lines, however, were softened by happiness as he sat at a corner table in the Gold Circle Cafe. Happiness also lighted the face of the woman with Andy. The middle-aged look of discouragement and disillusionment was gone. Rita, the cafe entertainer, looked almost as young as she had when she first came to the Yukon.
10 years ago. And this is the first real moment of happiness I've known. Oh, Andy, you don't really mean what you said, do you?
I never meant anything more. I'm sick of being a bachelor.
A real home. Security. But, Andy, you're a millionaire. Why, you could go back to the States and have almost anything you wanted.
I aim to stay here among my own kind of people, Rita. And you're my kind. If you don't mind the difference in age, why...
Oh, there really isn't so much different.
I ain't quite as old as I look.
And well, maybe I'm older than I look. Makeup helps, you know.
You won't need no makeup if you marry me. And I'd like you with it or without it. Now, will you say yes?
Yes, Andy. I'd be mighty proud to be your wife.
Good. Now, let's tell the boys. Hey, everybody, I got an announcement to make. I'm buying drinks for the house. Rita and I are announcing our engagement. And, folks, he don't know it yet, but here comes my best man. My old friend, Sergeant Preston. You heard the news?
Andy's getting married. Can you beat it?
Andy, what's this all about?
Rita's just promised to marry me, Preston, and I want you for best man.
Well, congratulations, Andy.
And I'd have King, too, but I don't know just where he'd fit in a wedding ceremony. Look at him. He sure approves of my choice. He likes you, Rita.
Oh, King and I are old friends, aren't we, boy?
There aren't many people who can say that, either.
King's very choosy about his friends.
Sit down, Sergeant. Sit right here at our table. I'm buying drinks for the house. I'll be right back.
Thanks, Andy.
Come on, boys. Order anything you want.
Bet I know what you're thinking.
What? What do you mean?
You're thinking I'm marrying him for his money, and I'll ditch him as soon as I get some of it. Well, you're wrong.
Why, Rita, I wasn't thinking any such thing.
That's what they all think. But they'll be fooled. I've always liked Andy, and, well, we'll be happy together.
Why, of course you will. Andy's one of the finest men I know.
Too good for me, I know that. But he's giving me a chance to be respectable and happy. I won't ever let him down.
Rita, you'd never let anybody down. Now stop worrying about what people think. And by the way, how's that young brother of yours?
Well, I finally got enough money together to send him to school in Seattle.
That's fine. The Yukon isn't the place for a boy his age.
He was getting into bad company. I guess you know that.
Well, everybody seems to be having a good time.
Andy, I've never seen anybody look happier than you do.
And I am happy, Sergeant. I got a lot to be happy about. Now, Rita, why don't you get your guitar and we'll have some music?
Sure, Andy. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, Preston, I'm a lucky man.
Yes, Andy, I really think you are. Rita will be a good wife.
And I'm going to give her everything she ever wanted.
Now, when you left the table, she was worrying a little.
Worrying? About what?
Oh, she was afraid we'd all think that she was marrying you just for your money.
Well, maybe money does have something to do with it. An old sourdough like me.
I don't agree with you, Andy. I've an idea that Rita's thinking more about what she can give you than what she'll get from you.
Well, maybe. I'm sorry she's worried about it, though. Kind of spoils things for her.
Well, here's the guitar. What do you have, Andy?
Just a second, Rita. Attention, everybody! Quiet! Quiet now! I want you all to be back here tomorrow night. Bill Brown, you bring your big weighing scales with you. I'm giving my bride-to-be her weight in gold.
Rita's heart sang as she entered her cabin after the weighing had taken place. $30,000. Now she could marry Andy for himself and not for his money. Suddenly, there was a knock on her door.
Who is it?
I got a message for you.
Oh. Oh. Who are you?
I guess you don't recognize me with this beard, do you? I heard you were in this town. I came about your brother.
My brother. Now I know you. You're Fred Pierce. Come in. Why did you come to see me about my brother?
He's in trouble.
He isn't in trouble. I sent him away to school.
Have you heard from him since he got there?
But there hasn't been time. I expect a letter from him any day now.
You won't get one.
What do you mean?
He didn't go off to school. He went with me instead.
You mean you stopped him? Why, you...
Oh, I know you never approved of me. You always try to keep him away from me. Anyway, he's in trouble. Bad trouble. Your baby brother killed a man.
Oh, no.
Also, he got shot up a little himself.
Oh, terrible. Where is he?
He's with some Indians I know. I'm the only white man who knows where he is. The law is looking for him.
I'll tell Andy. He'll help me.
You ain't telling no one. Or I ain't telling where to find him.
But what can I do?
I saw that little gold weighing act at the cafe tonight. You're a rich woman. With that money, you could get him out of the country. I get the gold, and we'll leave tonight.
You mean without telling Andy? Why, if I do that, he'll think...
Well, you can take your choice. Stay here and marry that prospector, or come with me now and keep your brother from hanging.
Heard about Rita running off with all that money?
Yeah, they say she went off in the middle of the night with that big guy with the black beard.
Well, Andy should have known better than to give her all that gold. Crazy old coot.
Think Andy will chase after his girl?
Nah, he's got a little pride. Anyway, it's her gold. He give it to her, didn't he?
Well, I guess there's no fool like an old fool, Sergeant. Rita sure has made a laughing stock out of me.
I can't believe it, Andy. It isn't like Rita.
Yeah, she sure fooled all of us. Guess I'll just have to call it a bad gamble, that's all.
A girl who'd use all her money to send a kid brother to school just doesn't make sense.
Postmaster gave me a letter for her this morning. Must be from a brother. It's postmarked Seattle. He said she was anxious to get it. She hadn't heard from him since he left.
Andy, Rita must be in trouble. She just isn't the kind of person to do anything like this.
Why, even King liked her, and he'd take food from her. He's seldom wrong about people.
Well, I sure trusted her. I gambled $30,000 on her, didn't I?
Andy, will you go with me and try and find her?
Why, I couldn't do that. Everybody'd laugh at me.
No one will know about it.
No, I couldn't do it, Preston.
There's something funny about it all. I'm going to find out what's happened to her. Andy, if this is something Rita couldn't avoid, she'd like to know you trusted her. Why don't you come with me?
All right, Sergeant, I'll go. But please don't tell the gang.
King, Preston's great lead dog, picked up Rita's trail easily. It was still fresh from the preceding night and led off into the wilderness. A storm was rising as Preston and Andy urged the dog team on.
On King! On your malamutes! Look! The bad storm coming up, Sergeant.
We should be catching him soon. Rita can't travel very fast. She won't be able to keep going at all if the storm gets bad. I'll have to camp somewhere until it's over.
It's going to be dark soon. You aiming to go on anyway?
We won't stop until we catch him. I can't be much farther ahead.
Oh, what a blast. This snow's going to be in drifts pretty soon.
I'm glad we're getting into the woods. The trees will protect us some.
What's King stopping for?
What's the matter, boy? Come on, Andy.
Well, he doesn't seem to know which way to go, Sergeant.
Oh, I see what happened. The trail is split. Look, Andy, the sled went one way and someone went through the trees in the other direction. King seems to want to follow the trail leading through the trees. Hear that? There's a timber wolf.
Well, there's a lot of them wolves around here this winter. What do you think we better do?
Well, King wants to go that way. Andy, there's a chance that Rita may be off there alone.
Alone?
Take King and the dog team and follow that trail through the woods. I'll follow the other trail by myself. Send King after me if you don't need him.
Andy followed King through the woods. The trail zigzagged through the spruce trees. The wind and the howl of the wolves was weird music in the growing darkness. Suddenly, King bounded ahead.
What is it, King? Whoa, there, boy. Oh, steady, boy. Why, it looks like a woman lying in the snow. Why, it's Rita. Rita.
Oh, Andy. King. Thank heaven you came.
Now, Rita, don't try to talk. I'll put you on the sled. Let me carry you.
Andy, he's gone with the gold.
Preston's on his trail, Rita. Now, there you are. I'll wrap you up in these blankets. King, boy, go after Preston. Find Preston, King.
Preston plodded through the snow in the growing darkness. He knew he was gaining on the dog team ahead, which was slowed down by the heavy snow. Suddenly...
Oh, my arm. I better get down behind this log.
I got you, you dirty red coat. Come out with your hands up, or I'll be over there and finish it. Oh, so you want to fight it out, huh?
With his right arm disabled, Preston was in a desperate spot. Resting his gun on the log, he was able to shoot with his left hand and keep Pierce off. But if Pierce began to circle him, he knew it would be the end. Darkness was upon them now, and each man waited, exchanging shots when they thought they heard movement near them. Suddenly, Preston heard a welcome sound, the light running feet of King, and he called to him softly as he came near.
King, boy. Here, fella. Quiet, boy. Now, you know what you have to do. Circle him, fella. Get behind him. Go on, King. Get him.
Preston, shooting from behind the log, kept Pierce's attention on himself. At each flash of his gun, there was an answering flash from that of Pierce. Suddenly, he heard the sound he was waiting for.
Hold him, King! Hold him! Don't let him get away!
Back on the trail, Andy had made camp. In a shelter made of spruce branches, he sat with Rita. A campfire blazed in front of them.
Are you comfortable, Rita?
Oh, yes. That tea helped so much. Andy, you do forgive me, don't you?
Oh, there ain't nothing to forgive. I'd have done the same thing in your place.
If only Preston catches Pierce.
I don't care about the money, Rita. as long as I know you didn't run out on me.
Pierce didn't think anyone would follow us. That's why he left me when I couldn't go on in the storm. When I think how awful it was, that wind and the howl of the wolves.
Oh, don't think about it, Rita.
If only I'd waited. I'd have had that letter from my brother, and I'd known he was safe at school.
You're lucky that lying Pierce just went off and left you instead of murdering you.
Guess he thought the cold and the wolves would take care of that.
Well, listen, that's King. Preston must have caught Pierce. That's a dog team.
Hello there.
Hey, Preston! And look, Rita, King's bringing in Pierce.
I won't run away.
That dog is watching you for the rest of the night.
Oh, Sergeant, you're hurt.
That's my arm.
Come over here and let me look at it. King found you, didn't he?
Yes, thanks to King, I'm here. And thanks to King, we caught Pierce, and you have your gold.
And don't forget, Sergeant, thanks to King, I have a wife.
Yes, fella, the credit's all yours, and the case is closed.
These copyrighted dramas originate in the studios of WXYZ Detroit, and all characters, names, places, and incidents used are fictitious. They are sent to you each week at the same time and reach you from our transcription studios. Hal Neal speaking. This is the Michigan Radio Network.
77 years ago, April 24th, 1945, the Challenge of the Yukon. Tomorrow on our Thursday program, This Is Your FBI, Orson Welles and the Lives of Harry Lime, Murder at Midnight, Escape, and Superman. Visit our webpage at classicradio.stream and have yourself a wonderful Wednesday. For Classic Radio Theater, I'm Wyatt Cox.